Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile is a 2019 Netflix film about Ted Bundy. It's about his later life relationships, his arrests, and of course, the court battles. The film stars Zac Efron, Lily Collins, John Malkovich, and Kaya Scodelario, who is almost recognizable in this role. Before I get into this, I do want to address that the main facts that I know about Ted Bundy are from the book by Anne Rule, which is The Stranger Beside Me. Anne knew Ted Bundy before the events and then found out who he was when she was following the case. So it's a very unique situation, but also it's only one perspective. And I'm gonna get into why that's important and why it's probably never gonna be possible to get a perfect Ted Bundy film. But in my opinion, this one did a really good job. The thing about Ted Bundy and his story is it's a whole one, and you probably need every single piece of the puzzle to understand him fully, and we don't have that. There are many holes in his story, and the timeline, it starts from when he was a child, from where a lot of people think he committed his first crime, you know, up until all of the crimes that we don't know that he committed, and up to his execution, we still have no idea what really happened. It's also extremely complicated because Ted Bundy wasn't one man, he was several to several people, and all at the same time. He was also a different person privately, the man in the shadows, and to his victims that are not here to speak for themselves. So off the bat, we have a complicated story, several different points of view, several different people within one person, so many diversions, and of course, no real answers. So there you go, there's your material. Now make a great movie that's gonna please everyone. Going into Extremely Wicked, I was very interested to know what portion of his life they would focus on and what kind of perspective they would come from. And it so happened that the story leans towards Elizabeth and his relationship, which I think was his longest relationship. I could be completely wrong, but it definitely starts when they meet and it ends, you know how it ends. But in this film, it kind of ends with the big hurrah as their final conversation. But because there is so much to include at times during this film, it does feel like a blur. The film does a really great job of encapsulating the moods, emotions, and relationships between the two throughout the timeline. But it fails where all Ted Bundy films will fail. It fails to provide any answers because there weren't any. Ted maintaining his innocence up until just before his demise and confessing in such a private way is too complicated for the viewers. It creates an emotionless barrier between the audience and the main character, which is such a strange thing for a film to do. But in this film, there's no real way to break that. But in the same breath, that is Ted Bundy. He's uncomfortable and you never really know what you're getting. I will say that the film tries really hard to make a conclusion within the story, and I think it does a good job at it. I don't think a lot of people will accept it, but I think it does what we need it to do. It provides a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of truth within the Ted Bundy story, and this is a conversation that kind of ends the film, that really brings it all together, and maybe it puts it in a really nice packaged box with a bow, and that might be hard for some people to swallow, but I think it was needed, and it really drawed a conclusion to a story of mystery. It was just enough to sell the audience as a final act. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, Zac Efron. When the trailer for this film first came out, a lot of people were very concerned that it was romanticizing Ted Bundy, showing him as like a charming, attractive man. This film does touch on that fact about his charmingness and of course his attractiveness. What this film doesn't do is glorify him. Zac Efron was amazing. Somehow he was Ted Bundy. He had the looks, the charming exterior, and the cold interior. He kept the serious tone throughout the film and showed the switching between the characters really well. He did so well to encapsulate a stranger because it must be so hard to portray a character that you have no motives for. I think Zac Efron did an amazing job, and I really don't think he could have done any better. I think that this film was casted beautifully. As many people hoped, this film does have a serious tone. It includes graphic details, news stories, and a list of victims at the end. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile is a film that sums up as much as the story as possible in a straightforward way, within 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is extremely hard. Does it get a lot of things wrong? Yes, but it's trying to sum up such a large story within a certain time period. So facts, people, and moments have been changed. Characters have been pulled out completely. But I do think that the Ted Bundy story is impossible to tell because there's so many different points of views, there's so many characters, and then there's Ted himself, who no one will know, and then you're trying to explain it to an audience of hopefully sympathetic human beings who can never grasp the motive. It's hard to explain to compassionate humans why evil exists. I'm gonna give this film a 7. I didn't think much was wrong with it. I thought that Zac Efron did great. And although it's not a perfect movie by any means, I think it did a really good job at shedding a light on a story that's very complicated. What did you guys think of this film? Please let me know down below. What did you think of Zac Efron? I thought he was amazing. Sometimes I was like, how did they make him look like that? And then I looked back and he looks similar, but he doesn't look so similar, but somehow you just believe it. Also, I'd like to know, if you did a Ted Bundy film, what aspect would you focus on? I'd really like to know about his childhood, almost like My Friend Dharma, which I wasn't a huge fan of that film, but at least it took a bite-sized moment of his life. Anyway, let me know what you thought down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I do 2 new videos every single week and I'd love to have you here. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.